you see something, but you can't really move around. So what I would do to kind of like fix that is I would click on our hierarchy, our main camera here, and I'll explain a little bit more about like the other little intricacy windows here, but for now I just wanted to kind of like explain what you'd probably first kind of like use in your first project in Unity. And like there's a lot of other little stuff like here that you would use as well, but like if you're a little confused about what I'm doing, just stop me, or like later on we'll have like further clarifying questions. But for this is our camera. Basically it's a game object that technically doesn't have anything except this thing called the camera component, which comes packaged into Unity because you can't see anything without it. So let's say if I were to click that off, our camera's there, but like in our game, we have nothing rendering anything. So we just have like all of our objects are there in the game, but like we just can't see it. So I'm gonna turn that back on. And what we wanna do is kind of like move our camera around. So I'm gonna add this script called camera editor controls. And I'm gonna just show you build this out. But like, of course, it's commented out code here, but I'm gonna just kind of like slightly build it out for us. So let's say when we create a script, which in Unity, you can choose a bunch of different scripts, but you would probably, for VR development, you'd wanna use like the C# language for this. The reason for that is you wouldn't want other languages talking with other languages. You just get like things passed in at later times, and that's just a whole mess to kind of debug. So stick to one language and built off of that. I think there used to be JavaScript in here, but I don't think that's around anymore. So but like there's a couple of other options. So like I'm gonna just say like Waka, and I'm gonna just create a Waka script. These are our options. Oh wow, yeah, so we can only use C# now, so that's fine. Problem solved. So there's a bunch of other languages you could have used before. I think in the newer version you can use TypeScript, which is pretty dope, but that's if you're building out web games. So if we're building out VR stuff, we want to make things move as fast as possible to make sure that like we're hitting performance frame rate. So we're going to use C#, which is basically Java. So first, what I want to do is create a public float variable here, and what that variable is going to do is it's going to give us like a public field that we can currently see in Unity and affect in Unity, in order to affect what's going on in the script. So I'm going to call it public float speed, and I'll explain like how you declare this as well. So in order to declare a variable, we need to kind of state if it's public or private. Of course, like public makes it exposable, so you can adjust it or even like call it or reference it from another script. Float is the the type that you're using. So you can use strings, game objects, Unity game objects, integers, and basically any data structure or like any structure that you remember from like your typical programming language you can use here. It's just that you have to declare them, which I came from JavaScript, and no, I came from Ruby, and that was rough. Like it's just like you just declare your variables and call it a day. And, then I had to switch here. I had so many like passing wrong variable errors. It was ridiculous. So let's see what that did in our script. So now when I come back to this scene here, we actually see that there is a speed parameter here, and we can kind of adjust this to whatever we want. This is really cool because like this allows us to kind of edit our scripts on the fly when we're previewing, and let's say hypothetically if this is health or something like that, and we want to kind of like give our player like a lot more health because we're kind of debugging how attacks work, and each attack is gonna like take out half of your health or something like that. We can kind of give the player like 1,000 health from this parameter here, and then just kind of like work our way towards fixing our problem or creating our new feature, and then change this variable here back to what we wanted it to be. So that is like a public variable in C#. So the next thing that we want to do is kind of I want to show you a little bit about what are the two functions that kind of come out of nowhere when you create a script. So remember that script we created called Hi Everyone, just as a joke? When that's created, we get two functions. One is start and one is update. Start is going to run the first time the game boots up or the level is booted up, and update runs every frame. So this is where you do a lot of like your health check logic, a lot of like things that matter at that moment in time. So you'd probably want to initialize your player's health in start, but like check if he's dead in update. That's kind of like a good way of thinking about it. So what I want to do here is actually like kind of figure out how to move our camera. So what I'm going to do is for every frame, I'm going to create a new float called horizontal and vertical. And that's going to be equal to this Unity specific function called input. And what input does is it actually just detects what you're using. It can either be your keyboard, it can either be like your Gear VR remote if you're using a virtual reality headset like this. It can be your Xbox 360 controller. I'm going to use this function called getAxes, which is basically you just getting like where your input field is in space. So getAxes is going to be your mouse because we're working on our Mac here. So mouse X is basically, like you guys remember like XY coordinates and stuff? Yeah, mm-hmm. So this is kind of like how the world is seen in game engines. So we're actually going to get the like X axes just to kind of understand what it's doing horizontally. And then we're going to just multiply that by our public float here, speed, which is controlling how fast we're moving our head around, our mouse around. So technically, what would happen in VR is this would be your head moving around. So we're just going to like pretend that our mouse is our head, just to kind of like test things in the editor here. So I'm going to do the same thing here. And basically, we now have this float of horizontal and vertical for like getting our axes. And we multiplied it by speed to give it like the movement that we need. So next is what we're doing. What are we going to do with this? We have this here, and we don't like how do we make this camera move? And I'm sorry that you guys see the answer here, but basically, you remember that transform I was talking about here, where this is what's in charge of moving things around in the world? This is an example of how you can reference that in Unity. So you'd actually have a function. You can actually call transform here, which is calling the component, and you can call this function called rotate, which is calling the rotation here, and then you pass in what you want to rotate. Like, how do you want it to rotate? So, for example, I'm going to pass in horizontal here, and that's that. And what's really cool about Unity is as well is if you don't know what is passed in, like they give you a bunch of hints here too, which is awesome. So we're gonna use We're only going to be moving our horizontal space and I think it's world space, or space, world space. Yeah. So what the heck does this mean? Let me show you. So first thing is we're rotating our object on our rotation field here. We are only rotating it on the horizontal field here, and we are going to set 0 for everything else because we don't want to affect that. We're only moving this around based off of like space in the world or space in self. That basically means you're moving yourself around dependent on the world or like your place in the world. So that's what transform movement is. So just going to hit play on this and we'll just see how that works. Okay, so now as you can see with my mouse I can move this around, and that's pretty cool because now I can actually see this whole world. One note to think to know, if like you were building this out in like in desktop VR, you just hit play and instantly be able to see it. It's really dope, but you know, like most of us don't have like VR ready PCs or like a VR headset, so we have to kind of make do with what